I turned 15 in 1984. My dad and I rode three-wheelers in the mud pits close to our house. Without driver's licenses, Southern kids are bored. Others didn't see a father-son relationship, but I did. My mother was decorating for the surprise party I had been told about for weeks, distracting me from housekeeping. If she liked it, I could stay with Dad all day. Every turn on the woodland pathways to the mud pits included mud trials. Tricycles were unsafe, and novice riders may topple them by going too rapidly. Someone in my school used crutches or arm casts daily. 6 months ago, I broke my wrist. I lost control around a curve and crashed into a massive tree while following my dad and pushed the engines as hard as possible. Not everything went dark. It seems like one instant in my body and the next above it, rising steadily. I watched the scene below from my contorted position. Dad turned around and ran to me. I considered shouting, "I'm up here," but I knew he wouldn't see me. Unlike others, I saw neither tunnel or dazzling light. I entered space above the atmosphere. The aerial vista of Earth was stunning. I believed my body was underneath. I had no idea how long I had been in space until I noticed it coming. It was light and fluctuated in brightness. Not dim in the sense that it was never dim, but brighter at times. This person approached me, and we started talking. "This is not your moment," it said. I communicated with it telepathically throughout. Since it was easier, faster, and less laborious, I never wondered why. We observed another light entity, and they took me to see him, as they described it. Looking like we were floating in space was cool. Then we saw a planet. This planet was massive. Cities the size of the world were visible from above. But not just cities. In contrast to our globe, the vast landscape appeared clean and uncontaminated. Despite my hopes, I did not land in one of these cities and meet an alien race. Our descent into a peak revealed a stream more transparent than I had ever seen. He looked away. He donned lengthy, whiter-than-white robes with gold collars and wristbands. Only old leather sandals, nothing special. His face appeared weird as he turned to me, but I recognized Middle Eastern skin tone after all this time. "You took quite a fall, but you weren't supposed to be here yet," he said. "You saw that." "I was watching, and you arrived early," Jesus said. "What are your goals?" "What would I like to do?" Unsure of the question, I repeated. After glancing at the creature, Jesus stated, "He doesn't have all his memories back yet." I cannot describe what happened once the monster approached me. Simply touching my fingertips uploaded knowledge. I finally understand everything. You have no idea how much. I realized this was not my first, second, or 10th life on Earth. Since the past, present, and future happened concurrently, I saw them. I learned that all spirits return to their home after a contractual life. I learned reincarnation is unnecessary. A soul must condense to live on Earth to be sent there. I also discovered spirits may learn elsewhere. Why contract to go to Earth? I pondered. Fights, homelessness, hunger, and other issues made it unworthy. I knew the answer immediately. I requested information from Earth contracting that was inaccessible at home. Everything was pure at home. We come here to feel things we can't elsewhere. How can you comprehend the graveness of terrible events without first-hand experience? Can love exist without hate? A soul may visit Earth once or many times. Can you not just teach the bad without experiencing it? I requested. He said, if I tell you something is hot without you having felt hot before, would you understand? Jesus made valid points, and I agree. Are you ready to return and continue your contract on Earth? Jesus inspected me throughout his question. I knew I'd return. I was here for a contract, but I wanted Jesus at home. My family gathered by my hospital bed when I woke up. Because my mother looked sobbing and cried with excitement, they stopped me from sitting up. They say I took the hospital's helicopter life flight, but I don't remember. I had emergency surgery for brain edema after the three-wheeler collision shattered my cheekbone and nose. Both eyes were dark. Roadkill Raccoon watched me. After 4 more hospital days, the surgeon released me, and my mother forced my dad sell our three-wheelers. Although my surprise party arrived more than a week late, I was astonished that it was no longer my birthday. After a few weeks, my NDE memories faded, so I recorded them. A Southern mother will beat you up if you talk about meeting Jesus and reincarnation. I never told anyone where you grew up. If she had known, she would have sent me to the first Christian boys' school she found and prayed for recovery. I still desire anonymity. Not everyone believes in a non-religious afterlife. Thank you again for letting me share my story. Bless you. 2 days after Thanksgiving 1997, my granny and I had an automobile accident. It rained overnight. After many hydroplaning overturns, the automobile hit a culvert. I was flung from the car in the crash. Grandmother broke her right and left wrists holding me. I was flung 60 feet and hit a tree. From crawling back to her, glass and dirt coat my elbows and knees. I held her head in my lap thinking she was dying. I wanted her back. What was happening made me cry, suffer, and go wild. I was alone on a poorly lighted country road with minimal traffic. Headlights to my left made me think, thank God, someone is going to see us and help. When the truck slowed, 2 ran at us. Sister Teresa was my youth pastor. We joined her church recently. What's your name? Phone number. Address? She stopped, and I asked her to pray. Deep down, I realized only God could save us. Despite my hopes, my grandmother died. I heard them pray with youth group kids. I fainted or died. I immediately saw the group and myself on a higher plane. I saw and heard everyone praying and saw myself below and to the side. It felt above my right shoulder. I knew my body was gone, but it didn't matter. My anguish vanished instantly. Suddenly, something attracted my left eye. It was too bright to see. I saw no face. Something towering, fire-like, and bright. Warm but not too warm. I didn't get mad. Not too hot either. Never before or after had I seen this color. It was pale gold like the noonday sun. It stated nothing, yet I understood what it meant and felt love and compassion. My stomach was touched on the left. Later, I felt more connected to my body. I felt warm all around. Excitement and affection overwhelmed me. Now I feel better than ever. That's when I discovered this creature's source felt this way always. This being was my initial choice. I didn't care about leaving Earth. I was pulled to this entity because it was returning home. Refused my request discreetly. This was all represented through mind or knowledge. I accepted that my grandma was changing and stopped feeling sorry for her body. I thought her lucky then. This encounter felt like minutes on Earth despite lasting only seconds. It rejected me and kept me, but now I was back in my body. I faced the praying crowd. The ambulance arrived and prepared me for a long travel to the nearest hospital that could treat me. My grandfather was informed by the ambulance drivers that I wouldn't survive the ride and wouldn't be worth a nickel. My mom beat the paramedics to the hospital. She could walk to surgery on the gurney. When I saw she was upset, I told her to rest because it had cured me. Before going home, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital and several days in the ITU. After surgery, Dr. Brown demanded a follow-up at his office. He told me I was lucky to be alive as we sat across from each other's desks. He considered my survival a miracle. He said his procedure tore my spleen apart. The primary spleen artery was cauterized to stop internal hemorrhage. It was hard to describe my experience. I felt something important happened in my early teens, but I didn't remember until years later. Dreams and flashbacks fixed everything. I didn't want to appear insane or delusional. In my late teens, I watched a show regarding NDEs and their effects. Readers connect with the stories immediately. I experienced some of what they described. Informing everyone I speak with, my experience should be shared. No match. Be more like others and less fearful of death. Changes in others affect my religion. More spiritual than my rigorous Christian doctrine. I got comfortable with my sexuality and stopped believing that I was broken or detesting myself. Experienced depression. Maybe from early trauma, but part of me wants to be home and not in this body. I like relationships, nature, literature, appreciating life, and awareness. Psychic premonitions and divine insight have occurred since the occurrence. I never experienced that as a kid. One brief but strong experience with the creature shaped my life and soul like a fingerprint on transparent glass. Since that great occasion years ago, I've struggled with my goal until I recognized it. Tell my people what I've done. This should go that way.